and this is where George Washington's statement kind of paraphrased from. Back to the book. He, therefore, who desires peace should prepare for war. He who aspires to victory should spare no pains to form his soldiers. And he who hopes for success should fight on principle, not chance. No one dares to offend or insult a power of known superiority in action. Do you get bummed out that you didn't learn this in 3rd grade? Like this whole thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Including jiu-jitsu for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I feel like, and you kind of, I learned this kind of from you in the beginning, where you know how you have this kind of big picture kind of mindset, right? Like the long game. You're always like, you used to always correct me when I have this like short-sighted.
Short-term.
Yeah. That's what I wish I understood / even, I don't know if kids are even capable, really. But
well, no, you're 100% right. And I've actually said this many times, that kids have a hard time connecting what they're doing now with where it puts them in the future. Yeah. And I say kids, and by kids I mean me, everyone. Yeah. I mean, I'm better now. Yeah. But when you're a kid, like and kids, some kids are different. You know, like some of the kids that my kids hang around with, some of them are dialed. Yeah. Where they've just got a vision, they know where they're going, they know where they're going to be in 8 years, they know what they want to do. That's not a majority of the kids. Most kids are, you know, like, well, hey, I can get this right now. Right. And that's cool. And they don't think about how it's going to affect them in the future. And that's just really problematic. Yeah. Not understanding that long game is really problematic. And I think we do a bad job of teaching it as parents and as teachers and as a society. Yeah. Yeah, agree. Well, I mean, because you have, you know, like JP says this and Leif said this, where they're like, when I was a kid, even you say you wanted to be some sort of a commando. Yeah. At least you had like an idea, you know? So there was, at the very least, somewhat in your mind to be like, hey, for sure.
If I do this.
That was a savior. Yeah.
So I think some families, just through tradition and stuff like that, they'll have that structure. Like, hey, you're a Johnson, so you do this XYZ, and it's just a matter of getting the kid to embrace that, which is really kind of like either they do or they don't. Which is no small task. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're fair to your kids, because I think a lot of times like we get caught up in like our own feelings, you know, in this thing, like, what, you know, I don't know, your kid's not listening to you or something like that. You're like, oh, my kid's not listening to me. You know, you get caught up in the feeling that emotions. Yeah, you know, that rather than, hey, you know, this is a problem that needs to be solved kind of thing. So I think that's the way you can alienate your kids real easy, and it's a common thing, I think, where, you know, we'll alienate our kids and then they won't embrace the pride and tradition of your family because they're like alienated. You alienate them in one way or another. Sometimes you don't even know that you alienate. You know, they're like, oh, he's in a rebellious phase. You know, like, sure, there is such thing as a rebellious kind of phase because, you know, certain kids, they gather this or they gain the sense of, like, empowerment in certain ways, you know, so they want to test it out. They want to test the boundaries and all that. I dig
and subconsciously, they know they got to break away from their parents at some point, and they got to start practicing that. Yeah, it seems natural. But if you have successfully alienated your kid, when that rebellious phase comes, they're stepping right outside the game. They're starting their own thing. In fact, they're going to have some resentment against dad, who's this unfair tyrant, who's lame, heaps this Isn't it
stuff
funny though,
on
how
me.
like the kids never think their parents know anything?
I know, right? You know, as a parent, I understand why. I totally do. I'm like, I get it now. But that is funny. That is really funny, actually.
I mean, we just don't. It's not just parents. Like, your teachers don't know anything. I'm not speaking for everybody, but like when I was a kid, parents didn't know anything. Teachers didn't know anything. I knew everything.
Bunch of dorks.
Bunch of idiots. God, I'm stupid. So if you're listening to this and you're, you know, under the age of 40, you might want to listen to your... All right. That's good stuff. He who desires peace should prepare for war. Remember that one.